We will continue and are continuing our coverage today of the trial of the former Clear Creek deputy who was charged in the shooting and killing of Christian Glass.
In the first trial against him, Andrew Buen, a jury hung on the second-degree murder charge. The foreperson, who you're seeing there, told us that 11 people on the jury wanted to convict, but there was a lone holdout. Prosecutors promised to try Buen again for that murder charge later this year. Joining our conversation about the jury today is 9 News legal analyst Whitney Traylor. So first thing, this jury deliberated for about 3 days.
Yeah.
I know we hear that length of deliberation doesn't always tell us what's going to happen there.
Right.
Is that significant now that we've now learned it was a hung jury?
Yeah, I think it is significant. I mean, lawyers have a lot of theories about what it means when people hold out or when the jury's deliberating for a long time. A lot of times in criminal situations, the traditional notion is that the longer they're holding out, they're coming back with a guilty verdict because they don't want to sentence somebody quickly like that. Here, it wasn't like that. This was essentially, it sounded like it was 10-2 early on, and then one other juror came around, and then this one juror just said, no, I'm not going to do it. And that's, that's fine. A juror can do that. But if the statements that were made or alleged to have been made were actually made, then that shows that there were bias and this juror didn't pay attention or didn't consider the evidence. They came in with an agenda, and that's what they were going for.
So I was going to ask about this because it seems unusual to have a foreperson come out so quickly to do an interview like she did with Steve Steger, who had been there covering this case for years, but to be so forceful and say, listen, this was bad. I mean, this person made some serious claims in deliberation.
Yes, I saw that interview, and I agree with you. That was a very significant. She came out with strength and banged on the table and said, no, we looked. They said they looked at the video 5 times, and early on, apparently this juror, this holdout, said, I'm never going to convict on murder, and we should just hang this jury right now. Police can do whatever they want. And those kind of statements, when you come on before you've even deliberated and you've dug in on that, then that means you're...
How did that person get on the jury, though? Both sides agreed to let that person on the jury.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the issue is there's a questionnaire beforehand, and then there's a voir dire process, and you really try to elicit what, people can be a part of certain organizations, a police organization or an anti-police organization, but the questions are, can you set aside, any preconceived notions and just listen to the evidence? And a lot of times people it's obvious when they're trying to get on the jury, and the judge will take action then. I did see a statement that the judge here said that they're going to do the questionnaire a little different going forward in the next trial, which is scheduled, I think, in August.
We were told that you're more likely to go to a retrial if you can get intel from the jury on what went wrong.
Yeah.
Clearly, with a foreman coming out immediately saying, here's what went wrong.
Right.
And Steve said in that interview, other jury members were present, just not on camera.
Correct.
So there's a lot of jury members who wanted to explain very clearly what went different here. So are you surprised they're going to retry, I guess?
No, I'm not surprised. And that is significant. I mean, there's some judges that don't allow the jurors to talk to the attorneys after the case is over. And I think that's a disservice to attorneys, trial attorneys, because trial is really difficult. So hearing from the jurors what worked, what didn't work is really helpful. But here, the juror didn't come out with anything about the lawyers. She just came out and said, look, retry this. The evidence was there. We watched the video over and over. That I think certainly went into consideration with the prosecution determining we're going to retry this person. I mean, when you have somebody coming out with that strength and you saw the trial yourself, I mean, you get a sense as the trial attorney how things are going. So I think the jury coming back saying retry it was significant for sure.
Well, and you always want a fair trial. Let's not convict anybody here.
Yes.
But this is an emotional case that took a long time. And I would think lawyers on both sides are like, oh my gosh, we're going to have to do this again.
And find another whole jury group.
And find a jury. So you make that questionnaire something just foolproof this next time.
Right.
Is that it? Or?
Well, that's going to be part of it. I mean, they sent out, the jury summons went out to 1,500 people, which I think was 1 in 5 people in Clear County.
Yeah.
So that was the issue. But I also read a number of reports that said that there were several jurors who weren't familiar with the case. So there are people out there who haven't necessarily heard about it. But the real issue is, can you set aside whatever you think you know beforehand? Can you only listen to the evidence that's presented, not talk to people, and then deliberate based on that? And that's the juror's duty. And the jury, I know lots of people want to get off jury and that kind of thing, but we're one of the few countries in the world with a jury system, and it's a beautiful, I think the system works well. And here, some people would argue, well, the system didn't work, but I would push back and say, well, maybe it did, because we're now having the retrial. There was a hung jury, and now within 60 days they can, file to retry it, and that's what they're doing. So there is an argument that the system's, the fail-safe is working.
It's a big job. It's a big responsibility to be a juror.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, for sure.
I know. And from the legal side, on the other side, choosing your jury and putting your faith in them.
No, this is the most important part of the case. I mean, selecting the jury, they're all important. And so, I mean, this also tells me, I watched, saw a lot of the evidence, but this tells me that the defense is probably going to have a difficult time when you have 10 and now 11 people saying, yes, we were strong about that. So this could lead to then a plea. I wouldn't be surprised if they entered a plea, because nobody wants to go through this again. It's super expensive. To sit for a 15-day trial with all these attorneys is thousands and thousands of dollars. It's really expensive, yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Whitney.
All right.
Giving us a little peek inside.
There you go. Good to be here.